Thank you for clicking on this video. I hope you enjoy. And if you do, then don't forget to like and subscribe. Ring that notification bell so you stay up to date on further content. Greetings. Welcome aboard the USS Shadowstar, our flagship here. I am Captain Richard, aka the Renegade, and this, well, of course, this is a Star Trek Online Starship review video. So, allow me to welcome you, Starship Captains of the Dominion, the Federation, and the Romulan Republic. Welcome to this Starship visual review, I should say, video where we'll be taking a look at a very refined and interesting looking ship. However, I'm not sure refined is the word for it. Albeit certain aspects of the ship are definitely been refined down, but then other aspects have exploded. This is an interesting ship sitting between the eras of Discovery and its predecessor, Enterprise. Between the periods of the NX class and the Crossfield class. Oh, more accurately, it's probably even before the Walker class. So it's an old ship. How would it fit in with the modern iterations of Star Trek Online? Enough beating around the bush. Allow me to introduce to you guys the HERNANDEZ class, presently sporting the TOS skin, Type 0 hull type within game. So I guess we could say right away that although this ship isn't TOS designed, and the Discovery period is pre-TOS, but during the era of the Constitution, almost, though this ship predates it by a considerable period, perhaps a decade or two. It's good to see that this ship fits in very well with the time period, at least from certain aesthetic standpoints. There are bits that don't quite find their place, but personally speaking, it's not a bad thing. I reckon the ship looks pretty damn good, if I do say so myself. Which I do. Fight me. I kid, I jest, please forgive. But no, we have an interesting ship here, which is, for my first point of call, visually speaking on the ship, I can't help but pull up on how the saucer is integrated into the two segments. And then my second point of call is it's literally a flying nacelle. There's no two ways around that, guys. It is a flying nacelle. So a lot of you are probably wondering immediately, are we stuck with this configuration? Is it frozen looking like that? Well, side note, look at the rear of those nacelles, and you actually have the same sort of skin edging that you get on the TOS Connie. Interesting to see. But no, quite luckily, we have a lot going on with this ship. Unfortunately, there will be no special bridge to show you guys with this visual review, purely because they didn't think to give us the Discovery bridge. However, we can say there are 8 different window variants that you can use on this ship. Some of them don't quite fit too well with the Disco skin, but most of them seem to be fairly clean and work pretty well. We'll be holding on to the Hernandez skin type for a bit because questions are to be raised. But the Hernandez also has the ability to swap out its hull types with its sister, the SOMERVILLE class. If you guys wanted a different visual appearance to your SOMERVILLE class intelligence science vessel. There are also a total of 21 different hull types you can have. So you don't have to worry too much about the ship vanity shields of this ship. You've got plenty of hull types to go with. And they're all pretty damn decent on this ship as well. Type 0 is the one you've shown me using already, and although that is a TOS aesthetic, it is actually grunting itself a little bit to show you that it is pre-TOS by giving you red warp coils, as you can see on the top of the nacelles. I like that. It's a good touch because, as they've shown during this period, the formation of the Federations, so to speak, it was very clear that they hadn't quite figured out whose warp coil technology was superior, and so they were experimenting. They definitely settled on the Starfleet space frame, obviously. They settled on that fairly quickly, with a few alterations requiring to be changed. This being, they did test a different shape to nacelle and something to that, though they liked the sources clearly. Going through these types, the NX works well, Veteran is great, the Type 8 and the slightly darker Type 8B work really well on this ship as well, if you like a bit more high detailed hull texturing. The Intel is almost a straight cut out of the original Intel hull type we were given on the Scry, the Phantom and the Eclipse. And we also have a beautiful touch that is very similar to the Terran Task Force Operations Vanity variant shield, not Vanity shield. We also have the traditional 6 Discovery era hull types that all look pretty damn good on this ship, with the standard being the Type 1, so we'll be flying that from this point onwards. So I guess the biggest question, guys, is where do we really begin with this ship? Well, there's a lot to pull up on for this ship, and a lot that I do feel like needs questioning, or at least some attention drawn towards it. Now the great thing is, we can see looking at this ship that it fits very brilliantly into the aesthetic of the period, and this ship being a cross ground between Starfleet and the Federation's formation again is a brilliant touch, because it in essence screams they were testing stuff. I believe the size and the nacelles are down to them wanting to take the Vulcan warp ring and then scale it into the Federation's Starfleet nacelle design, as the warp ring was a big target, but the Federation's nacelles didn't quite generate the same output. It could be considered that this was the first attempt, and that's why the nacelles are so huge. It's their first attempt at shrinking the Vulcan warp ring, and it would be great to think that actually Starfleet started using warp rings within the nacelles instead of a general coil. Perhaps this is why they are warp coils, kind of think of it, since coils and ring is not really all that different. Just ask Digimon Season 2. What? But, yeah, so we've got great little Q touches. Q, you had better not been around here anywhere. I think my favourite touches this ship shows up is that it shows, English, stuttering, I'm sorry. it shows quite refinedly that the Federation very quickly settled on having the saucer section, as shown by the inner hull. They were experimenting with how their secondary hulls or outer hulls should be, hence this one looking a little bit DS9-y, and actually, well, if they made it a solid ring instead of rectangular at the back, I would have been very much joking that this is like Deep Space Nine mobile, or Deep Space Nine was mobile, and that's why this one is called Noble 9. But beyond that, it's a very interesting design aesthetics. I'm not 100% what I think on this ship. It's a difficult one for me to really pin down whether I like it or not. Some of it grows on me, some of it I hate, some of it bounces around, some of it's just like I can't decide. So let's really start picking on spots, shall we? And I think the best spot to pick on straight away is the bridge. I mean, look at it. It is not entirely circular. It's actually a kind of oval shape on top there. But what I like about it is no window. There is no window to be seen. And we're very certain that that is the bridge because just general positioning of it. I would say it's well defended down there in between in the cells, but actually, as we've seen from the Enterprise D, nacelle damage can be quite catastrophic. Like, literally, a ship had its nacelle, well, they had a nacelle round which caused mass catastrophic failure of the warp nacelle, and it was such a cascade failure, it blew the ship up. I consider that quite the design flaw in this ship, since a mass cascade failure of that fault with this design is definitely going to take this ship out then. It's so much smaller, but its nacelles are so big, there's no way it will last. However, the bridge is quite well placed. My only issue with it is that it is really on top, but that's not always a bad thing. Hello, Vengeance class back there. Goodbye, Vengeance class. As you move down, you can see that this saucer is very much in stages as well, which I do very much, pardon me, agree with. It's not gone straight into the smooth down climb that you'd have for certain future ships that are closely following this one. But instead, it's sort of smooth drop, and it's the little bit of jaggedness just gives it some age and dating. Almost fits quite well in with the NX, but it actually looks a bit more robust than the NX does. Something tells me this ship was more of an experimental platform. Perhaps that's why the Crossfield class is designed the way it is. Away from that, we have these interesting pylon points. Now, I say interesting because, well, we've seen on its sister, the newer SOMERVILLE class, that it quite clearly has its spore drive built in within that cylinder, and this ship is, although this ship would be predating the spore drive, it then leaves me wondering why the empty space and why the pylons? Why is it not solid? The void space perhaps is to create areas that can be missed from the main hold, but surely it would have been better to thicken the armor than to create void space of basically wasted area on the ship. Perhaps this was the test bed of the mycelium platform before it was moved into the refitted Crossfield classes with the mycelium drive. Who knows? Beyond the two forward pylons, though, you got that really intense rear pylon. Now that one makes the most sense to me, the way it's solidly structured there, but it also makes me want to beg a question: while free. If you're going to void space it, you might as well avoid space the whole lot. Because we already know a turbo lift would have you around that part of the ship, considering how small the ship is. You could turbo lift from the central area out to the front of the secondary or outer hull in literally no time, about a couple of minutes. So why the additional pylons? I'm not sure. Unless the two forward are where you do the movement and control round, your way of getting around the ship, and the rear is a solid platform which has a huge amount of power grids working through there and a lot of maintenance, mostly used for engineering only. On that note, where is engineering? I'm not entirely sure where I would place engineering on this ship. You'd want engineering to be between the warp nacelles. However, there is no direct path to the warp nacelles from the best place that I can imagine engineering being, which is centralized, ironically below the bridge, or towards the back of the primary saucer. The reason I can't see it being in this section here is because, again, remembering this ship is quite small, it is my opinion that this section here at the front, which I'm now circling, is a shuttle bay, and that's all it really is. Or perhaps across here is where the shuttle bay ends, and this forward part could be where engineering is. Perhaps. But I have engineering right behind the shuttle bay. Not entirely sure I'd agree with that design. However, that would give it direct coordinate sight to the nacelles, so that's not necessarily a bad thing. I find myself really uncertain where anything is. The idea is form follows function. However, the form of the ship really doesn't follow function. So it's a little bit of a difficult ship to analyze. One thing I will state that I like on this ship is the fact that it is showing sort of the start of Discovery era aesthetic from the lower hull perspective. Now there's no sensor node below the ship, but it's almost Shepard class-esque in its design for the forward part, and that is a very beefed up deflector. You've got the same sort of detailing around and curvature on the underside of the saucer towards the cone forward of the saucer, which is basically the whole deflector array network, I believe. It's similar to that on the Shepard class at least, and that is a very similar sort of deflector array that you'd find on the Shepard class and the Walker class. So it is a very nice touch to sort of had it already forming at this point here into the, well, seen the beginning of the formation of that deflector array at this point, before the Walker class and the Shepard somewhat outdated it and it became more like you have in the MITS class, a rectangular, almost matching NX class again design. It's like they couldn't quite make up which one they wanted to go with. I'm glad they went with the Connie. I kind of like the rounded deflectors, or the oval ones. Now, away from the points of deflector, hangar bays, engineering, there's something on this ship that really did strike my attention quickly, and I mean really quickly. You guys have probably already gone, oh, must be on the nacelles then, and you'd be right. That is probably the most grasping section of the ship, but it was the facades. And I've got to say, I like them. They're huge, yes. No, nacelle is huge. But the facade design is a really nice little touch. It is maybe not quite right. It's tighter to the NX class than it is the Constitution. The NX refit had spikes on them. The Constitution's Phase 1 had spikes. Yeah, I'm not sure which one it was, but one of them had spikes on it. And then coloration is the issue. Again, it's the NX coloration. But, you know, going a more beigey, orangey red, sort of a weird cross colour, during the period of the original Constitution. So it'd be nicer to see these ones also into that onset colour. But hey, that's neither here nor there. The Connie turned up with some red facades at one point as well, didn't it, in Discovery? So I guess cherry red facades all the time, nothing wrong with that. What there might be wrong with though is my issue moving back on it. See, these are warp nacelles. Big, bulky. I've already got some of the question there with the impulse array where they are, but it's covered in weapons. Anyone else notice that? I'm counting 3 points on this one. Yeah. 3 weapon points on this nacelle. So of course 3 weapon on that one. Now, something to side vent to. These nacelles have to be really armored up or something then. Something tells me the nacelle isn't the nacelle. How do I explain? The bazaars are huge and big collectors. This is pre them going to that 1 primary and 2 secondaries. Okay, so maybe that's why they're so big. Maybe they're using warp rings in a different refined manner, which is why you have these 2 upper warp coil exposed, no below. And then if you move to the very back, you can see they've got more warp coil exposed. I know it's a little easy to confuse with the impulse array, but you can definitely tell that those are warp coils. And they have got line of sight to each other, so that's a great thing. So, is that 2 warp rings being supported by warp coils at the front? And it uses a sort of quad system? In essence, I'm breaking the nacelle in half, making it so that it's got 1 nacelle portion at front, 1 nacelle portion at rear. And with that, I imagine then it's actually not the whole bulk that is in a nacelle either. It's actually a very thin section running almost dead through the middle, or perhaps along the top and bottom. My issue with it is I don't see how they connect. You see, they've got a very dangerous thing on this ship, and that is the impulse drive very clearly surrounds the warp coils and possible warp ring. So what's the rear of this ship doing? What's this rear cone all about? The impulse drive is almost middle sectioned. It's warp ring at the back, warp coils at the front. No, I don't get it. I don't get it. I would love someone to explain to me how this warp nacelle works, because in my own personal opinion, it doesn't. Or should I say it's very volatile. And again, as noted, that's not a good thing. Not in any Starship design. You never have such a volatile design. Oh, I don't like the nacelles from a in-universe standpoint. They're an interesting design. It would be great to see on a different style, but not this one. To me, When I first saw them, I described them as Zeppelins. And if we can all think of a historical event, I imagine these to be just as volatile and therefore a horrific design choice on such a ship. All it takes is to set one off and you could take the whole ship out. We have seen the volatile nature of a warp nacelle collision with the Enterprise D. We really should have avoided it here. Mind you, this predates the D, so perhaps they haven't quite learnt their lesson yet. Let's go on to something more positive. But I'm not sure what I can really say is positive about it, because this ship is supposed to be one of the Federation's first explorers, to go along with the NX class, which is essentially the prototype explorer. So, yes, we understand that the Romulan War has happened, the Xindi crisis happened, and there's a bit of turbulence with the Klingons. This ship needs to be well armed. But is it over-armed? Yeah, I'm going to go there and say that. So, let's get started on this forward arc. Well, we already know that this ship has its forward weapons on the nacelles. So, due to that placement, I'm going to count them in the forward arc. And that means we got one up, one below there. So, 2 on even nacelle, 4 in total. Go to the front of the saucer, and you've got, well, the front of the outer saucer. You have another 2 points, 6. Below, an extra 2, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. That is 12 in the forward attacking arc. 2 of them, yes, centralized. 12 phases, forward attacking arc. Okay, so that's already a lot more than her later generation SOMERVILLE has. Admittedly, these are ball turrets. Look back, and we have 2 in the upper section, 4 on the lower section, 1, 2, 3, and 4, and then on the rear of the nacelles, another 2. So that's 8 in the rear, giving it a total of 20 twin ball phaser mounts. This ship is, yes, well armed. And then to top it off, in 2 positions, it has torpedo launchers. Now, I'm looking at them and thinking about the ship's size, and I don't want to call these sort of, I know how the tubes tend to work in pairings, but I believe they're 1 tube and 1 tube either side, right next to the facades. So this ship is modestly armed, 2 torpedo tubes in total, both forward arcing, and 20 phasers. Good coverage, the positions are brilliant to cover this ship from all angles. It's just one really big issue I've got with this. The phasers are well positioned, but the torpedoes are right next to the facades. Again, a couple of good shots are going to set off the torpedo storage areas, and boom goes the entire ship. That is the issue with this ship. A lot of this ship's design is sitting on cascade failure. As long as you stay away from the nacelles, this ship can probably take a tonnage and punch. Get hit and keep on going. However, one good shot through the shields penetrating the hull along the nacelle lines, or along the big bullseye targeted nacelles, or in the torpedo storage zone, which is normally just behind the torpedo launchers, so therefore built into the nacelle in some manner. We're talking about an almost immediate cascade failure. It would be one explosion, chain effect sets off a power surge. We all know how power surges work on Federation vessels. That shoots back to the warp core. Warp core collapse. Boom. Goodbye, Hernandez class. You're sitting on a ticking time bomb, ship. You're sitting on a ticking time bomb. I've got to say, I do like the ship's aesthetic design. I like how it seems like a mobile base for its period. But we have to pull it up here. This ship has a lot of problematic touches. Let's go to some last fine details before we look at vanity shields. First of all, the fins. So you can probably see it just there, barely. On even the nacelle, there is a minor fin just above the edge of the outer hull that connects to the ship. So it connects to the nacelles. I see 0 point in that being there. I mean, if you're going to tell me that's how it's speeding the warp field across to get the line of sight mess, I'm just going to say that you beamed that straight through the bridge. Like, it is almost on level with the bridge, so it's a couple of decks below it. I feel like they're just pointless there. And away from pointless, and actually, okay, they are pointless, but I do like the aesthetic touch. We got more fins on the back of the ship. What is it with the discovery period and fins? Very strange, people. You're very strange, Starfleet. Especially during this period. It works better on your constitution. Do it right there, please. Okay. But, side noting, I do like at least the fins at the back of the nacelles. I just don't seem to like the ones in the centre. I feel like they're pointless being there. The other thing I want to bring up is the thing that I wish we have more of with the Somerville class, and that is something that lets you know its size. This ship is very obvious on its size. You sit front and you can tell its size. Deck 1, Deck 2, Deck 3, Deck 4 is somewhere around here. Deck 5 is where you can see the central 4 lights. Deck 6 is below in the section behind the deflector dish, and there might be a Deck 7. If you're going to tell me there's loads of decks inside the nacelles, I'm going to scream because, well, we've all heard about the protection they require to live inside parts of the nacelles on certain ships. Go towards the back and you'll be able to see more why I say where the decks are on the forward part of the ship. And it's because there's 2 windows running through the second line. It is interesting to see the ship is so small. And it makes me feel like this was a pre-Oberth class. Like what they were using before they had the Oberth. I think the Oberth took this one's place. And in which case, great, because I love the Oberth. Not so keen on this one. But hey, you can't win them all. Sorry, but this is one of those ones you don't win, Hernandez class. Okay. We've had a look at the hull types now, but let's take a look at Vanity hull. Side note myself a little bit, because I think I'm going to go crazy thinking about this ship. So, first of all, we're going to start off with the Discovery Vanity shield. Should be quite a fitting shield on this ship, shouldn't it? Well, I'm not sure what I think about the blue there. Oh! Makes me feel like they wanted to make the facades blue, but then chose it was too complicated to create a new blue pattern to go with that. I don't know why they didn't just take this and recolor it, but okay. Maybe it was a little bit more complicated than I make it sound. The whoop coils definitely look good though. I do like them. Round to the back. It would be nice if the red had been turned blue, to be honest, but hey, we can't win them all. It's a good touch. It's a shame though about the weapon emplacements. Looks like they got a bit of texturing failure there. Oh well. Worse things have happened. Oh, wrong one first of all. We want the Emperor's Vanity shield. Well, we can already see how the Emperor's Vanity shield works. A nice dark hole aesthetic. Yellow warp coils. Of course. There's a yellowy blue tint to the actual path of flight, so that's nice. Normally, the impulse array on the Emperor's one, though, is blue. So, that's risen a question for me. Does this ship quite literally have no impulse array? I dread to think. On to section 31, Vanity Shield. God, you cost too much for me. Deflector looks pretty good. Oh, I didn't really look at the deflector in the other two, did I? I'm sorry, guys. Well, at the moment, this ship really does feel like a flying Zeppelin to me. Hang on a second. Yep, there we go. Flying Zeppelin. I should have called this ship the Flying Zeppelin. Oh, I missed a beat there. Okay. I will say though, the nacelles work pretty good with the black hull armor. I don't imagine Aegis is going to do too tight, but this is the Aegis Convariant Shield Array. Wow. I think they went a little bit too over the top with the blue line markings. Yeah, a little bit too much, STO. I think the Aegis needs taming back a bit. Mind you, the Aegis seems to be an outclassed one. Not many people seem to use it these days. Let's get assimilated. Now, in some ways, I could see this being the outcome of a Borg assimilation. If the Borg assimilated the Federation and felt that a lot of the Federation's design aspects were right, I could almost imagine the nacelles becoming this bulbous and large. But that would be because they're not really just nacelles, they just happen to be that big. Let's grab this up on the ship because I want to see what these touch to it. So, first of all, we now know for certain where part of the impulse array is. And based on that positioning, yes, I am right where the impulse array actually is. But another question I've got is, there's no additional piece. Normally there's another piece that adds onto the ship, but it looks to me like it's not here at all. Oh Lord mercy, I can't see it. Just makes my ship look like it's got a plasma leak, really. Next up, we go in Bajoran. The Bajoran Defense Convariant Shield Array. And this should be somewhat fitting. Yeah, I quite like it. Probably would have liked it if it was more grey than brown, but I do like the way the actual texturing works on the ship. For me, it fits in pretty damn well. A nice touch. Ooh, the deflector's actually quite good as well. Sorry, I nearly forgot to check the deflector again. Right, counter command covariance shield array. Deflector looks pretty good. Actually, the whole ship looks good to a degree. I think the central saucer section is the part of this ship that looks the best with this on, if I'm honest. But hey, to each their own, and that's just my general opinion. Delta Alliance Unimatrix shields. Side note, I am personally already skeptical. Deflector looks alright. Would seem I was right to be a bit skeptical though. Yeah, I'm not too sure on this one. Can't say I'm keen. An interesting touch though. Now we move on to something that I'm really hoping is going to look good. The Dyson Regenerative Shield Array. Well, okay, I guess it sort of looks good. Just not the good that I was hoping. I was honestly hoping for a little bit more life from this ship. Looks like we missed a beat. Oh well. Oh god, the deflector's horrible. No real adjustment at all. Iconian. Right, now Iconian is normally, because of the Iconian shape edge, it's normally really good with rounded designs. Deflector looks alright. Front and the sails look alright too. Central saucer, nice. But everything from the central saucer outwards, no. Looks horrible to me. Well, goddamn. Not a nice touch at all, really. Okay. Now, Lucari. Restorative, intuitive, Lucari Restoration, Intuitive, Regenerative Shield Array. The mouthful because it's temporal. I'm a little bit speechless. I'm also a little bit new. Yeah, the Lucari design works well on Lucari ships, but for some reason to me, just not anywhere else. Where are we hiding? Mako time. Mako resilient shields. Now I was expecting this to be a somewhat good touch to the ship. I am kind of curious, so let's tap cloak. Oh, it is behind the Bassards. The grey and gold work fairly well together, but yeah, it's not that great of a look. Bit of a pity, really, isn't it? Okay. Right, guys, cross your fingers, because this is one of my favourites now. The Lucari Crystalline Resilient Shields. Please look good on this ship. Come on. Oh my, no. Ooh. Yes and no. The nacelles it doesn't look so good on, but the rest of it looks great. This is one of those ships where half of it is amazing in the way it looks, and the other half is a case of just no. Very awkward for me in this ship. Very awkward. Okay, actually, no, we've just got one where I eat my words. Happened almost immediately. Thank you. Note to self, always say that I just straight up hate a ship, because then we'll get something that's really nice. I like the look. Looks really good, actually, for me. Damn, girl, you look fine. Riveting. Simply riveting. Okay, right. Temporal defense, intuitive, regenerative, shield array. I said it! I said it! Whew. Right, now is this going to be a good one, though? I was questioning because of the way the shapes work and the basic palette of this design, but I'm going to say no. I feel like these shield visuals are disheartening me with this ship. It's not a good thing. This ship's best aesthetic is in its Terran one. Oh, right. Sorry, its Intelligence one. Here is the Terran Task Force Convariant shields that I mentioned earlier. Just like the Intel skin, but different. Oh, and it's a good kind of different. Purple texture into the impulse array looks quite nice. I do like it. The whole dark scheme of this ship, though, looks good. This ship looks its best in a dark scheme. Definitely got onto that one. Oh, no. Now, guys, do you want to see this one? Can someone comment section and just say if I should stop looking at the dielectric? Okay, guys. Have an eyeful. Go to the opticians later. I'm pretty sure I'm blinding you right now. Are we done? We're done? Yeah, we're done. Get off my screen. God, I hate that one. Jemadar Resilient Shields. Oh, teaser. I think that was a good teaser. Oh my god, that was a good teaser. Oh, wow. Oh, boo. I wish the nacelles were still purple. It looks better with them purple. Sorry, besides purple. Well, I do like the way it looks now. I've always said I like the good jelly bean flavour of Polarons. Jemadar definitely get it right. Mind you, I just love the colour purple. Riemann Advanced Prototype Variant Shields save the day and make this ship gorgeous. I knew you would. I knew it would. It always does. It's something about these Riemann shields I absolutely adore. Again, STO is definitely learning a lesson. The patterns, the hexagon patterns are definitely tamed back on this ship. They're way not overdone, which is such a nice thing to see from STO. Looks absolutely gorgeous. I'm going to do a barrel roll. No? Do a barrel roll. There we go. Took your time, but we got there. She's an interesting little cookie. Will she be an interesting ship to fly? That is the bigger question. Well, I have flown her. She's about average for a science ship, but unfortunately she falls short for me. Noble 9, it has been a pleasure looking at you. Ah, there we go, much nicer. I can stand looking at her face now. So the HERNANDEZ class. She's an impressive looking ship, but also a questionable design. I like her look, but I can't help but pull holes in its design. It's just who and what I am. If I had to score her, let's do 2 bits. Score as an in-universe ship. I would score her 8 out of 10, but only because I can't see Starfleet or any member of the Federation ever assigning that that was a good idea in themselves. If they were going to go with that, they would have had they'd have done something to protect themselves more or hide themselves more. So I'm only scoring it down that because otherwise this ship would fit right in with canon. No problems for me. For an STO ship or rebuild of the ship, well, they didn't have a lot to work off of. So I'm going to give the STO team 10 out of 10 because they had very little to work off of for this ship compared to what a graphics artist and designer would want. I'm pretty sure they were held back with this ship, from what I've heard at least. So it was nice to see them be able to come up with this finer detail on the vessel. Is this a ship that I would personally like to fly based on looks? I guess if I was going for the right theme, yes, but ordinarily no. But hey, that's just because it's not my Starship type. I'm pretty sure a lot of you going, but hang on, you like the sleek, narrow designs. Yes, I do, when everything is sleek and narrow and fits in with itself. This is an Nimitz when the Nimitz isn't done right. The Nimitz does it right, this one does it wrong. So as a result, this is one of the ones that doesn't quite hail to my aesthetic. Give me the Sovereign class any day, I'll be more happy with that one. It's coming from a guy that's one of his favourite flagships is actually the D. What do you guys think of this ship? I look forward to hearing your opinions of her design from all standpoints. What you think of her functionally, what you think about her armaments. This is one of those ships where I really do want a lot of feedback on. And I guess this is a good point to call the video as well. So I will say right now, a huge thank you to watching all the way to the end of this video. I know I've been a little bit long-winded with this one. I'm a little bit tired, so it is long-winding me a lot. I'm so sorry about that. Thank you for putting up with how tired I actually am. And to those who are supporting me again on a more personal level, either by donations or Patreon, a massive thank you to you guys, because you are making this dream a reality for me. The more we grow, the more I hope I can get this to thrive. When this becomes a full-time thing, I will be literally streaming near enough non-stop and giving videos literally non-stop. On that note, don't forget to check out the links below so you can find on our Patreon if you wish to, but more primarily our Discord channel. We got Twitter as well, but Discord is the best place to get into a conversation with myself, the rest of the crew in our community, and, well, to share your own things. There are specific tabs under my Discord where you can see when I'm streaming next, share your screenshots. When things really grab my attention, I share them. You want a shout out for something you do? Share it with me. Got my attention, I'm going to shout you out. But with that being said, long-winded enough, thank you for watching. Remember, live long and prosper, my friends. Can I stop acting like a Vulcan now? Oh, my Romulan brothers! Thank you! It's good to see you.